Hey YouTube world, Sean here. So it's the end of our camping season. It's time to get everything buttoned up for the winter, and part of that job is winterizing our generator. I'm going to take you through the steps today of what I do for my process of winterizing my generator, just to maintain the health of the generator and so it performs year in, year out flawlessly like I expect it to do. So without further ado, let's get started with that. Okay, so this is my Champion 5500 watt generator. So the steps that I do with winterizing, the first step I'm gonna do is I'm going to add in a fuel stabilizer. So I'm gonna mix this to the ratio that's on the bottle. I'm gonna pour it in the fuel tank and I'm gonna start the generator up. I'll let it idle for about 10 to 15 minutes. And what that's going to do is it will pull that fuel stabilizer through all the lines, into the carburetor, through the jets, and it's going to prevent over the winter time the fuel that's in there from tarnishing or getting gummed up and stuff like that. I also use ethanol-free fuel in my generator all year long. It's something that I would recommend if you don't do it. Definitely switch over to that. Ethanol and fuel can tend to get gummy and tarnishy over the years when it sits for long periods of time. And so I just prefer, and I've always made it my practice, that any small engine that I run will always have ethanol-free fuel through it. So let's get started with adding this into the fuel tank and then get the generator fired up. Now that the generator ran for about 10 minutes, we're going to switch the fuel on this specific generator to the fuel turned off position. So if you don't have a Champion generator and you don't have that, you can just turn your fuel off and let the generator continue to run until it dies out. That will tell you that the fuel has been used up in the carburetor and there's not enough fuel to continue to keep the engine running, which clears the carburetor out so you don't risk as much of a chance of gumming up your carburetor over the winter time. So we'll let this die out. Once it dies out, we're going to turn our dial to the completely off position. All right, so the fuel in the carburetor is now all burned up. So now we're going to switch to the off position. So it's now put into winter mode and we can go to the next step. Okay, so now that the generator's died out and it's been put into winter mode, our last step we have is we need to go to the back of the generator, remove the service panel, which I've just done that already. And we're gonna locate where the spark plug is. So on my generator, the spark plug is right behind that wire right there. So I'm gonna pull that spark plug wire and pull the spark plug itself out. While I have the spark plug out, I'm gonna inspect it just to make sure that it doesn't need replaced. If it does, we'll replace it. And then I'm gonna actually take about a tablespoon of just some really thin oil. So I have just some synthetic 5W30 right here. I'm gonna take a tablespoon of oil and I'm actually gonna pour it through a funnel into, through the spark plug hole, down into the cylinder. I'm gonna come to the front of the generator and I'm gonna grab my pull cord and I'm gonna just pull this pull cord, probably 4 or 5 times, just to really move the piston up and down to lubricate that cylinder and the cylinder walls. What that's gonna do is prevent any kind of corrosion on the inside, and it's going to help it to be ready to fire up next spring. So I'm gonna get that done and then I'll wrap up here. All right, so now that we've got the oil in the cylinder, we've pulled the pull string to coat the cylinder walls, put the spark plug back in and the spark plug wire. A couple other things that I'm gonna do to this generator before I close it all the way up is, first, I'm gonna add some more ethanol-free fuel that has fuel stable in it just to top the fuel tank off. And I'm gonna go to the very brim of that. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna prevent moisture or condensation from forming on the inside of the tank to dilute the fuel. So that'll keep the fuel fresh throughout the winter. The second thing I'm gonna do is, being as this generator specifically has an electric start, I'm gonna disconnect the battery and plug it into a battery tender. That's going to keep the battery charged up throughout the winter so it's ready to go for next season. Other than that, put the cover back on and it's ready to winter out the storms. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And I try to put out videos like this whenever I'm doing a project that I may find useful to help other people out. So feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. But until next camping season, we'll see you later.